Hey, ladies, gentlemen, and transgenders. Welcome to the Slothcast episode 10, a Heroes of the Storm podcast. I'm your friendly neighborhood Latino Narsha, and Galne, do you know which side of the chicken has the most feathers?
No clue, actually.
It's the outside. This week, we have another great episode for all of you, and once more, our roster is stacked with talent, because am I rolling alone? Oh, no. We got an all-around fan favorite, grandmaster in multiple seasons, and well-renowned top player in Heroes Lounge Elite Division, and the second best Swedish player on the show today. How are you doing, Galne Gunnar?
It's fine. Just playing some Hero League. Been screaming a lot lately. Getting back into it because we had a little bit of a break. And Narsha, how come Sul didn't understand the joke?
No, I don't know.
He couldn't hear you, man.
So yeah, are you prepared for the next Heroes Lounge season that starts in a little bit?
Yeah, we signed up for the new season. Pretty stoked about it. Hopefully we'll do better than we did. We came fourth, so it was okay, I guess. We'll hopefully do better this season, though.
Yeah, aiming for that top spot?
Probably, yeah.
Seems good. Next up is our resident esport nerd. He was shot caller and drafter for Team Plasma last launch season and is known for watching every minute of HGC available on the internet. How are things, Hide?
Very good. Well, not shot caller / player for Team Plasma anymore. Currently on Team Solid with you. So a bit of a swap. Otherwise, doing pretty good. Watching HGC and stuff as usual.
Of
so
course.
Yeah.
What do you think about Korea today?
Well, it was pretty interesting. Looks like Korea's trying to take over. At least Tempest is trying to take over a little bit of the Fnatic style with a lot of the globals. But it was a lot of fun of watching. Yeah, it was a great games. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for me personally, it was fun watching Hong Kono play Li Ming. Like, I really like his style on tanks, but I guess with the new roster on Tempest, he needs to branch out. Now, once again, this week we are very lucky to have a great guest with us. As in the bottom right corner, you'll see a young blonde boy. He is a pro player in the Heroes Global Championship, where he plays support for Tricked Esport, and he is the best Swedish HOTS player to ever guest the Slothcast. Welcome to the show, Gnappe.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be on here.
Great to have you here, indeed. Now, we had a little talk during the mid-season brawl where you were watching all the heroes action at the DreamHack. That was pretty fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. It was, it was great watching all the games live and like meeting up with all the players and fans and everyone that was there for the same reason. It was great.
Next year, maybe you'll be up on that scene instead of in the audience with us.
Hopefully. I mean, we can hope, right? And just have to practice hard and try to get there.
Yeah, we'll kind of get to that because this weekend you've only had one series in the HGC against heavy hitters Team Liquid, but that turned out pretty good for you guys, didn't it?
Yeah, I think we've never played as good as we did during that series, and I think we really showed what kind of potential we have, and if we can keep playing this consistent, I think we can get far.
Yeah, definitely. The second phase started like a little bit like maybe not shaky for you, but like you seemed good, but like maybe not like really like super improved, but like 3-0 over Team Liquid. That's pretty. That's a pretty hard good statement of you.
Yeah. I think we should have won against playing Ducks as well, but we didn't really.
That was a reverse draft, now the reverse sweep, wasn't it?
Yeah. We're up 2 and they reverse sweep us, and I think we should have won that, but we didn't play as good as we should have, and it backfired, fortunately.
But it seems from your Twitter that you had a pretty good celebration on Friday too.
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun.
This is what happens when you get a team house.
Yeah,
Yeah, at least when you win.
yeah. I don't think we would have gone out if we lost, but I mean, we won. And
Seemed like a good night out.
yeah,
Now, it seems like you guys have had a lot of improvement since the last split, since phase 1. You want to give us some insight to how you made that happen, like apart from bringing in another Swede on the team?
like one of the problems we had before was that we wanted to have the 2 shot callers in the front line, and we couldn't really have that. So I think just bringing in like a proper flex player, and therefore we can move Remmer to the main tank. I think it just helped us a lot, and like we're more focused than ever in scrims and everything now. So we just keep improving for every day, and we can really feel it.
Yeah, nice. So you mentioned you have 2 shot callers, like one for micro and one for macro. Like, is that
we have the shot caller that, because one of the frontliners is usually gonna be on the off lane or in the 1-on-1 lane. So then we have the other frontliner calling the rotations, and then Alex takes over the shot calling in the late game.
Okay.
So Remmer calls most of the early games, as Alex is usually on the side lane.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Now you mentioned Makke. You brought him in before this phase 2. It seems to be working out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Makke comes from Heroes of New Earth, and like he keeps improving a lot, and like you can really feel that he wants to improve and really wants to win. And I think like he has super good attitude as well, and I think he like helps the rest of the team improve as well with his attitude.
Yeah, I can imagine. At least it seems really good so far. Now that we get some insights into the workings of an HCC pro team, the listeners to the Slothcast will have a huge advantage going into Heroes Lounge Season 4. And we'll, aka, bring more Swedish guys into the team. And we'll do more to up that win rate, as this week's huge special is about that double support action that's been dominating the meta lately. But first, let me show you a short clip on how to escape as Genji, courtesy of Shrimpy, and I'll see you in a little bit.
Fully killing them off there and getting a lead in the experience. Ante will be moving on to Shrimpy. Has he already used his Swift Strike? It looks like it. Is he going to go for the kill? He has dived to the back line. Kronos coming in. Can he hit the W? The reflect. Shrimpy gets away.
That was absolutely fantastic.
Welcome back. Before we go deep into this week's theory crafting, we gotta check in with some of the changes coming to the Nexus with a fresh PTR build released just last week. Now, there wasn't a lot of changes, but some are worth taking a look at. Most noticeably, Stukov being playable, and as this is the support special, it's pretty perfect to check in. Gnappe, you had a chance between scrims and practice to try Stukov out?
Just a little bit. I haven't tried him out much at all, actually. But like he was also bugged on the PTR, as far as I understood. And with that bug, he seemed very strong. An Ancestral on a 16-second cooldown. It was really crazy. It was really crazy.
Yeah, was that like one of the quests that was auto-completed or something?
I can't remember exactly, but it was something like that, yeah. And it was insane.
Yeah, I believe it was the level 4 quest that gave you like 50% more healing on your trade. So you basically got a 60-second, what you said, an Ancestral on like an insanely short cooldown.
Yeah.
But
And it was AoE as well, pretty much, which is...
Yeah.
That's hopefully going to be fixed. But like mechanic-wise, like how does it look to you?
I think he looks really strong, and he seems like more of a playmaker than a lot of the other supports we have in the game. And I really like when they try to bring in when they try to make supports more like playmakers as well. And I think his kit is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. You don't really want to be a heal bot when you play support, to be honest. So this is a really good hero that they released now.
Yeah. I'm a bit worried how it's gonna work in double support, because I think he will be really good in double support, but and we will see what happens.
I think also. Oh, sorry. I
No,
think as
it's-
well that one of the things that Stukov will be able to do is that he will be pretty good as well as at countering double support to a certain extent, because he has one of his ultimate abilities allows him to, if you can land it, you can just push away one of the like the hyper carry super far away, like try to push away the main support, just try to put try to put that fight in your favor to a certain extent. And also the channel E with the silence seems pretty strong, especially because you can still use your bio kill switch if you have a bunch of healing going on, so you can silence people and give ancestrals all around.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting that you mentioned like how you don't want support only to be heal bots, because like watching a game like League of Legends, they have a lot of different supports, but very few of them actually heal. There was a time where like shields were like pretty dominant in the meta from the support in League of Legends, but they're more like playmakers. And yeah, even though Stukov has a lot of healing, he also can do some playmaking. So he did mention one of his heroics, the port arm. Do we really think that's going to be the dominant heroic choice?
Probably not.
I mean, it's hard to say. I think what makes it really good is the 20-second cooldown.
Yeah, it's short.
That's huge. So I mean, we will see what works, but I think both ultimates are viable. But right now, I'm leaning towards the massive shove.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be the best one.
Yeah,
I think the flating swipe is pretty good too. Like,
yeah.
Especially on maps that you need to zone, it's really good ultimate. Like you just swipe, and then you can swipe again, and then you can swipe again. So you can peel like 3 times, and it's gonna be really hard for the opponent to engage on you then.
I feel like you can look at Flailing Swipe as kind of like a mini D.Va self-destruct, like a get the heck out of this area kind of ability, just to make sure that you can get like a bunch of minions on Infernal Shrines or something, or you can zone people away from the Immortal and BOE. But I think in most general case, like for a fight, for a fight, that the arm, the massive shove will be the better at controlling the fight than the swipe will be, because it will just like not like it pushes everyone away, so it's kind of a disengage ability instead of like actual giving you fight control in most sense. So
yeah, I think the cooldown on the flailing swipe is a bit too long. Like if you compare it to the shove, it's 20 seconds. It's really good, and I think you can make a lot of plays with it. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mostly think it's the cooldown that changes things here. Like 20-second cooldown is just too good to pass up, even though like it can be missed and it can hit the wall and stuff like that. But with some practice, it should be a pretty impactful tool to have. Yeah, he seems fun. He seems to have a nice kit. I especially like the silence on the E. I think it is where it's a self route, but it's also like an area of effect silence, which can be upgraded with some talent choices. I can see some playmaking happening with that ability.
it's pretty funny with Entomb.
Yeah,
Can imagine.
And now you're stuck in here and you can't do anything. Have fun.
Yeah,
I think it's great synergy between the W slow and the E as well. So I think you'll be able to do a lot of cool stuff with Stukov.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to him at hitting the live game in just a couple of days. Now, looking at the PTR, the other like really noticeable change is the newest battleground, Hanamura. So let's see what actually happened to it. The core life, the amount of shots it takes for the core to die has been increased from 7 to 8. I guess that's something. They have removed the sapper minions, the minions that spawn when you get a keep that will just like take 1 health off of the core. Those are just removed, and the other like pretty like noticeable thing is that now the payload grants 1200 experience upon reaching their destination, because the bribe was really strong on that map because the camps gave so much XP, and you can probably mostly just push down buildings, get camps, get XP lead that way without just mining the payload. But does these changes help it? Will Hanamura not be a shit map now?
I think with the 8 lives on the core and the extra XP that the payloads will give, you will see longer games. Because right now I feel like the games are really short on Hanamura, and I think just making the games longer will probably make the map better, and you'll be able to see a lot of different stuff. But it's very hard to tell because I'm not a big fan of the map right now, and I hope it really works. Yeah.
I think the main thing that I like about this change is that they removed the separate minions. So what you can't do anymore is you can still do this like the Brexis threat where you go Zarya and a whole lot of damage and pushing power and just shove down a lane in the early game and get a keep. I mean, it still gives you the 3 shots, but at least it doesn't force your opponents to go into a lane and clear out the separate minions and give you an advantage at pushing the payload, because that was one of the stupidest things about that, I feel, is that you forced your opponents to go back and defend a thing that was going to deal 1 shot to their core, and in doing so would basically have them give up a 1 or 2 or 3 shots on a payload instead, which is not really a very good trade, all things considered.
Yeah. I've never actually experienced someone getting a keep on Hanamura.
Oh.
But
We've tried it a few times on Team League.
Yeah.
It worked pretty well.
On Team League,
Yeah.
I've done it, but
Yeah.
never. I guess once in Hero League, I think.
yeah, no, I think it's a good change. Even though I've never experienced it, I think it will also help. It will also make the games longer and more brawling. And I like brawling, so it's nice.
I heard a rumor that all the pros were tweeting each other to vote Hanamura out of the HGC pool. Any truth to that?
I can't confirm or deny, but I mean, it's not in the pool.
It's not in the pool, so yeah, let's just take what we get from that. We'll see what these changes do. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I just like the concept of the map, but yeah, we'll see. If it creates more brawling, more excitement, longer games, then maybe. We just also really got to touch up on Sol, our favorite necromancer from Diablo, that received kind of a rework. Galniganer, you looked into this rework at all?
I've played some PTR, yeah, but I haven't played him myself. I only played with him or against him. He kind of looks the same as usual, though. I think the rework is not that changed him or whatever you say. He's still gonna play the same. He's still gonna be the hero you pick if you need wave clear and stuff like that. But
he does seem to have some stronger team fight presence. I think I saw some games on PTR. Peter, my teammate, played Sol and top hero damage.
Yeah, he has crazy, or not crazy damage, but he has pretty good damage now. Before it was pretty bad in team fights, to be honest. So now he has a little bit better damage in team fights. But I still think he will play fairly the same as before.
Yeah, I think as well, I think it's a level 13 talent, Rapid Harvest, which gives him extra attack speed that stacks up to 75% on his cursed side, which is pretty good. It gives you a lot of extra power in team fights. It's, I think, the main thing that gives him some more team fight capabilities. But if you don't want to go for that, then basically he is still the same hero to me as well. And the only thing that otherwise that I find a little strange that Executioner is on level 13 now instead of 16, where it is on most other heroes. But otherwise, I think, yeah, Zol will be still the same. He still will see little to no play, I think.
Well, when you say little to no play, it's almost like a certain team didn't bust him out in the HGC this week, Gnoffe.
I think Sol is a really strong hero, especially if you can put him on unlike a shot caller like Alex, and he can do what he wants to do with the hero, and I think he's insanely strong, especially against the double support.
Yeah, because you played him in game 3. Was it on Infernal Shrines?
Yeah, game 2 on Infernal Shrines.
Game 2 in Infernal Shrines, yeah.
They had a double support, so yeah, they can't really deal with it.
Yeah, all that wave clear. Yeah, it really worked out for you guys. But I remember the chat went a little bit nuts when Soul suddenly was drafted. We don't see that very often.
Yeah, I remember Calder saying it a few times in draft, that Alex was trying it a few times, that he was scrimming it a lot, playing it a lot in Hero League, and that he was going to try it maybe. But I mean, I didn't expect it to work as well as it did. But I mean, it does seem very strong for Zul. Like he has still that good double soak on lanes. That he always had.
Alex even drafted it in Hero League today on stream on the Battlefield of Eternity. So,
wow,
is that something?
Gotta get that double soak on both lanes. Just run from top to bottom constantly. You'll get there eventually.
You put a lot of pressure with him with Xul. I think he could even be fine on Battlefield. I don't think it's that bad, but it's not as much pressure as on Infernal Shrines, for example.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, and we'll keep an eye out on the Tricked Games to see some of that Alex the Pro Soul play coming up in the forthcoming weeks. But by the time we record this, Stukov is only a couple of days away from release, so you might be playing him as you listen to this. If that's the case, I hope you win your game. But before we go into the support meta, we'll have another quick break. We'll be right back. Oh, hello there. Long time no see. As usual, every week here on the Slothcast, we spend a lot of time on one specific subject that will help amateur teams win in the current meta. And this week, of course, it's no different. The last month, the sudden rise of double support meta have been very noticeable in all levels of play. For example, when Team Liquid beat Dignitas, the second best team in the world, 3-0 with it during the first round of Phase 2. So this is obviously something that that has like taking the meta with Storm. We've seen it before. It has been gone for a long way now, for a long time now. But now it is back to some people's dismay. But just out of the block, like Gnapper, how does it work?
I mean, you pick double support and you win games. No, but like the way I think people started playing it against, because we saw it start playing it during the mid-season brawl, and they had great success playing it. And I think like you just draft a hyper carry double support, like especially with Oriel, because Oriel can just out-sustain anyone if she has the right carry, and you just look to out-sustain the other team, and they can't really do a lot. They fall behind. Like if they fall behind, it's really hard to get back. But on the same levels, it's really hard for the other team to actually win a fight.
It's basically an upgrade from the old shield meta. Instead of always drafting a shielder, you get like a Rager in there instead, which just gives more sustain.
Yeah.
Okay. So all you do, you draft 2 supports and a hyper carry, and you just out sustain.
Yeah, I think the key hero most of the times is Oriel, but I mean you can also get an Uther, a Tassadar, and a Valla, or a Tassadar, Valla, and a Rhaegar, for example. Like any. But I think you need the Oriel or the Tassadar. I think they are like the key heroes. It could probably work with an Uther or Rhaegar as well, but not as strong, I think.
Yeah, you don't have the sustain heal then that Oriel provides, or the safety of the shields from Tassadar.
Yeah, also the lifesteal that Tassadar gives Valla is great sustain.
Yeah, Oriel's also the most flexible support in that sense, because with Oriel, you can draft Gul'dan or an AA hyper carry or something.
Yeah.
And with Uther Tester, you're kind of forced into the Vala or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that can really like thrive off the Testar shields.
Yeah. You can also go Illidan, for example, and then have like Gul'dan in the backline. If you have like Tazad or Rhaegar, Illidan is great, and then you can have Gul'dan in the backline. But you kind of need someone with auto attacks for the Tazadar.
Yes. So when we talk like hyper carry, like we're going to go into like the different support heroes a little bit later. But when we talk hyper carry, just to get that out of the way first, you mentioned Vala, you mentioned Illidan.
I think Illidan isn't as much of a hyper carry as Vala, because Vala is Vala.
Or
Yeah, also it doesn't do enough damage. If you can get really great value of Battered Assault, for example, if you choose to go that talent, I think he can be a real monster. But most teams are usually really good against like playing around Illidan. So I think Vala, Lunara, Cassia is probably the three strongest ones. And then Gul'dan.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with Oriel, Gul'dan is pretty great. We like a long time ago, or like not that long ago, but like the start of it kind of was Tazadar, healer, tracer. Is that still a thing?
Not that I have seen, no. I haven't seen that in a very long time, actually. I still think it's good, but I think people have learned how to play around it by this point.
I think as well what makes Illidan pretty strong in double support comms is that he brings something which double support comms most of the time lack, which is like something to macro with, because Illidan can be on the other side of the map and then hunt in.
Yep.
And still gain a lot of value, but you can still gain value from getting a Testar shield and going ham in the back line.
Yeah. I mean, if you have an Illidan with Battered Assault, for example, that sits on 3 people in the back line, you probably win that fight if they can get the hills.
Yeah. At the same time, he's counterable, like stuns, Arthas, stuff like that. Whereas it's harder to get to the Vala, especially like let's say you draft 2 decently strong frontliners, those 2 healers and the Vala. She should be pretty safe in the backline there.
Or when you see an Illidan hunt, you have a false that you just gust the opponent's team, and Illidan is there and alone. It's like, oh shit, now I'm dead.
Feels bad, man.
feels alone,
bad.
But you mentioned that we've seen like the comeback of double support now lately, cause it showed success in the mid-season brawl. But you think there are other reasons for why it suddenly are popular again now? Like I'm thinking there have been a lot of changes to how armor works in the game the last couple of months, with like the physical armor, the magic armor on different characters. Some talents give some specific things. Do you think that have influenced it at all?
I think it was always strong. Like it was strong since they did the changes, which is quite a long time back now. But I think as soon as you see someone having success with this, other teams will try it as well, and I think that's the main reason. So maybe we just didn't see it in Europe, or I don't know. Actually there was in last phase we saw some teams play triple support, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Team Expert on Battlefield.
Yeah, I don't recall why it fell off, but I don't know.
I think mostly the double support thing, what happened was that globals became super meta because people figured out that a good way to play around double support was to just put pressure on other sides of the map.
Welcome back after a short intermission, not planned at all. But we were talking about how the double, triple support meta kind of fell off last time. Hidde, you got some thoughts on why that happened?
Yeah, I think that the double/triple support meta fell off mostly because of how easy it was to counter it with globals. You could just push your opponent out of the game by just putting pressure on other lanes, and because they had no room for macro heroes. It would just be very hard for them to rotate around the map, try to catch up. And before the intermission, Gnape said this as well. If you get behind as a double support team, it becomes very, very hard to come back into the game. And having a lot of good macro into a team that has no macro is very easy way to just get ahead early on and just keep pressuring out that lead.
Yeah, we also I know we mentioned the Trick to Team Liquid series like a couple of times now, but we did in the two first games, Liquid played double support against Trick's solo support, and we kind of touched upon it when we talked about Soul earlier. Like, get the wave clear and like get some pressure, and like it's harder for double support to handle it.
Yeah, I don't also. Because they have to rotate around a lot to deal with Ixul. We got on Infernus runs, we got every Punisher for free, kinda. I actually don't think they got one Punisher. I could be wrong. I know they were really close to getting one since they almost team wiped us, but then I sneaked in and I took the last skulls. But
yeah, oh yeah, that's I have actually noted that down. Give me a second. Okay. Game 2, Trick Win Infernus Shrine, Solo Rhaegar versus Oriel Luther. Gnape stole the Punisher when Team Liquid got a 3-man kill. That was a Rhaegar, yeah. He just snuck in and got a couple of last minions.
Yeah, that was the only. I think the only time Liquid was any close to getting a Punisher that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ixul just put so much pressure on their double support, and they can't really deal with it, which opens up the maps for us.
Even the Illidan, which then, like in the new double support incarnation, is kind of the way to remedy the fact that you don't have any global heroes, because Hunt is kind of global. Illidan is not very good into the Zul because he can't pressure him, because Zul has Curse Strikes, and Illidan then just does nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we were still worried about picking the Zul into that because he might be able to kind of deal with Ixul, like good enough at least. And lucky for us, it didn't really work out for them. So it worked out perfect for us. That was good.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, they had the Illidan in that game with the Tess and Rhaegar. No, you had the Tess and Rhaegar. They had Oriel and Uther. And Lunara, damn, that's actually pretty cancer comp.
we actually had the decision to pick up Uther, but we picked Rhaegar instead because we didn't want to be exposed to the Lunara by picking the Uther. So that's why we went Rhaegar over Uther that game, and then they picked up the Uther after that.
Yeah, that was a good pick there. Uther is not very, very good into DOT damage.
Yeah,
it's always been his weak point.
Yeah.
Even after the reworks and him getting back to tier 1 status.
Didn't they also have what did they have as a tank in that game again?
Muradin.
Yeah, Muradin.
Yeah, the dwarf.
Yeah, Rhaegar is also pretty nice into that with the cleanse. And it's pretty when he dwarf tosses in, it's pretty signaled what you're going to go for, what you're going to try and focus, so you can pick your ancestral pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The Rhaegar still have cleanse. I kind of forget, like, everyone is losing it these days. Like, Uther still has it in some sense, but yeah.
We actually played... we actually played Malfurion today in a scrim, and I realized, wait, we don't have cleanse. And the team is like also expecting a cleanse, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh,
we don't have the cleanse here, team.
At least you have the Moonfire.
Yeah.
Yay!
Good point.
I can shine light on my enemies.
Yeah, I've actually topped some damage stats in with Malfurion on the new Moonfire build. I think that's quite fun. Regarding like when we're recording while Playing Ducks is playing Team Liquid, and Playing Ducks just lost the first map on the Tomb of the Spider Queen with, was it Uther Malfurion?
Yes.
Yeah, and you said that you weren't a big fan of that Knappe.
I think they need to keep they had the Valla with this, Valla as the kind of hyper carry, and I think they kind of struggle with keeping Valla alive. If I'm not mistaken, I think they went Divine Storm as well.
Yes.
And I felt like the Valla didn't really have a lot of room to do what he wanted. So maybe a Tassadar or Oriel or something instead of the Malfurion would have helped a lot.
I mean, I think a lot of what happened that game would have been remedied by just picking Divine Shield instead, because then Vala can go absolute ham instead, like just in general.
Yeah.
Picking Divine Storm and Melv picking up Twilight Dream is as you do, because Tranquility is just not that good. You basically have 2 DPS ults, and you have no like hard survivability for your team or for your hyper carry. So the Vala's really like has to survive off of 2 single target heals. And yeah, if that doesn't happen because the opponent had KT and Malthael, so they had pretty good single target burst, then the Vala just kind of dies.
Yeah. Also, the like Divine Storm is a good pick against Malthael, but
If you already have Twilight Dream, you don't need it.
Exactly.
yeah, it feels a bit of an overkill, and they didn't really have the support to keep the Vala alive, which I feel is the problem with the Malfurion and Uther.
Yeah, because they should listen to this episode, because like point 1 on double support, how it works, get the hyper carry. We already talked about that, and if the Vala can't do work, then yeah, I guess it's kind of wasted.
Yeah.
We've kind of touched upon it, but I just want to look at, like, let's say you want to draft double support. That's what you want to do. You have like a really high mechanically skilled player on the team. You want to put that on the carry. You want to draft double support around it. How do you draft it? Like, how do you go? Do you just pick double support in the first rotation that you get? Do you Uther first pick? Do you Oriole first pick? Like, what's the idea like behind going into a draft?
I think the strongest way to do it is if you have second pick, you will get Oriole plus whatever you want with it. Vala, for example, you can go into that. But if you're first pick, I think the Oriole first pick is strongest, because they can't really deny the carries for you, and they can't really deny the supports. Next rotation, you will either get Uther, Tassadar, maybe even Rhaegar, and you will always have a carry to go with it. For example, Lunara, Vala. So I think the Oriole first pick is probably the strongest. I think the Oriole, like picking Oriole as soon as you can, is the strongest. And if she's banned, then you can go into another support, for example Uther, and then next rotation you will still have Rhaegar or Tassadar available.
Yeah, okay, because the idea is the Oriole is the most important, so you want to lock her down, and it's like, since there are many different carries to choose from, or not many, but like they can't pick both Lunara and Vala in their, like, as it's the third and second pick.
Oh, and they lock their draft a lot if they do that. And
Yes. They're like forced into a triple backline kind of comp, or like single
Triple
support.
backline.
And they, like, if they draft that, they can't go double support, to be honest.
Also, they leave Greymane, Genji, Anub, like all these other heroes open for grabs for the double support team. And I think on certain maps you can even go Genji. You can go carry double support, and then you can go Genji and even a tank. And
yeah, Genji sometimes kind of substitutes for a second melee pick, depending on the map mostly, I think. I think like that what you said, the most important thing is to get the Oriole early on, because Oriole is the most flexible in the draft. With Oriole you can pick anything. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's solo support Oriole, you can do that, although you do need either Vala or Gul'dan with that, in my opinion, because those are the 2 highest damage dealing hope generators for Oriole. If you want to go with a double support, you can also pick up Cassia or Lunara or something like that instead. Like that's kind of the thing. Like that's why Oriole is so high up in the meta currently, is because she is so flexible in draft. She fits into pretty much every draft. There is almost no draft strategy where I'd say that you can go like Oriole is not a good pick here, and that's kind of the problem with how she works in the double support. She is not only like a super high burst healer, she is also very sustain healing, because you get hope on the 2, you get like a full hope bar on a 2-second cooldown pretty much. And then there's like she has a very good ultimate that just allows you to stop a lot of damage or stop a very good a skill shot ability that goes going to do a lot of damage to either your carry or someone on the front line in Aegis. Or you can play around that kind of with like Chromie and stuff. But you do have to kind of fit your draft around the Chromie though to play around that, which can be kind of a problem.
Like going up against Chromies as Oriel is really scary, but if you have the double support, the Chromie really doesn't matter too much because you will even have that extra sustain even if you don't have the hope with other support. So
especially if you have the second support with cleanse, it's much easier. Just cleanse if she goes temporal loop instead of Aegis. And then just save the Aegis for the when you need the cleanse or whatever.
I think that sense that's probably why, in my opinion, Rehgar is the best double support hero. Rehgar has good sustained healing. He has an amazing single target burst heal with Ancestral. He has a cleanse, which is invaluable in most senses. He brings good wave clear as well with Lightning Shield, and on level 1, I forgot the talent name.
Lightning Bond.
Lightning Bond, thank you. The double lightning shield, which is amazing for like letting you solo clear a lane. So you can pretty much put 3 people in the bot lane, a solo in the top, and Rehgar can solo clear a lot of the lanes and a lot of the merc camps on his own.
Yeah, and I was about to say he can take camps.
That's so important. Like being able to take camps and put pressure on the map is a good way for double support comp to not fall behind too much, because what you can do very early on is when your opponent tries to outpush you on multiple lanes, you can just say, well, I'm just going to go push this lane really hard, and I'm going to let Rehgar take this camp. That's going to push the other side of the map, so you have to answer this. And if you have to answer this, then you can't answer a push in the bot lane, and we're going to take a fort down.
I was just thinking, if you want to go this route, do you ban out the Genji?
I think
depend.
Yeah, I think Genji is really good into double support. Like we really like going into a noob Genji versus the double support, for example. And yeah, I think Genji is a good ban for sure.
Yeah, that kind of brings us over to like the next point. Now that we talked to how to draft double support, how do you draft against it? And I guess it's perfect to have Gnappe here that just have done it on Friday.
I mean, you need if you play against a double support, you need to get the early lead because they can fall behind really easy, and like they have a strong early game and they're really good at forcing early game. But if you can manage to get that lead in the early game, you will probably go on and keep winning the game because they will have a hard time getting back. And picking like a lot of globals or Xul or someone that can pressure the whole map, it's really good against the double support. So
here like Vikings as well potentially.
Yeah,
because you can set your 4-man against their 3-man/4-man.
Yeah, Vikings was also simply.
The only problem you will have then is probably that if they have Oriel, they will still outsustain you with her triple man.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can have Falstad de Haka on 2 lanes, and you can have a weaker tri-man than they have. But then you can do the 5-man ganks and have a 5 versus 3 suddenly. And just out-rotate them.
So since Oriel is so important for the double support, do you let's say like you're going up with against Team Liquid like now on Friday, and they like to play double support, do you ban the Oriel?
I think we would have banned the Oriel first. Like we know they played it, and I think we would have banned the Oriel first pick if we didn't find a solution with the Xul, where we saw that we can do this and blindside them, and hopefully they're not prepared.
Another thing which was a pretty funny kind of way to counter double support, what I saw a few times in HGC, I think it was in Europe and NA as well, was a good way to if your opponent has a very stun low on stun comp, like you have only a Nubarak or something, and like a Vala hypercarry, you can go Morales Cassia, which as a 2-man can stand up to pretty much any 3-man in the game, because there's no way they're going to kill Cassia at all or get to the Morales, which is a good way to like put your early game in a better driving seat to come towards your opponents.
Yeah, we actually lost a game like that when our tri-man unfortunately lost against a Cassia Morales lane on Dragonshire.
That was versus Playing Ducks,
Yeah.
I recall correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, game 3 on Dragonshire. And after that point, we just started second banning Cassie every time we had the Vala double support. We just started second banning Cassia basically because it was way too hard to deal with.
Yeah, we had the same like kind of thing in our scrims. Like we drafted this double support with Vala, and then they drafted Cassia, and we got like super outfought in team fights because Vala couldn't do any damage. So we basically just lost. And now we just ban Cassia's second rotation of the ban phase.
Yeah. We figured out that we have to be able to, if we want to compete with the top teams, we have to be able to beat the double support. Like Fnatic beats the double support all the time, basically.
Yeah.
So we needed to figure out a way to actually beat it. That wasn't playing Cassia. Now we did.
Yeah, indeed. We've already like actually covered pretty much how to play against it. Like you create pressure that you can't handle. But how do you want to play it when you draft double support yourself? Do you just I'm just trying to picture in my head the difference between the 2 and the 3 lanes maps. Like how do you want to rotate? Are double supports specifically stronger on one of them?
I think for sure double support is better on 2-lane maps because it's harder to like do rotations stuff and macro play on those maps. So you kind of forced in, not really forced, but you kind of have to fight the double support matchup with your. That is for example Braxis on your 4-man, but you can also do like the Fnatic stuff and just take sneak beacons all the time and stuff like that. But usually, if you play like the meta stuff, you have to like go up against the double support, and basically you draft your own double support then if you if you really want to fight them, or what to say.
Fight fire with fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I really can't remember, and I hate myself for it. There was one game here, I think it was last week, where we saw 4 supports picked and 1 banned or something before the second ban phase. And
it was one of TGG's games, but I don't remember which one it was.
It was like find it real fast.
It was like, I think it was first pick Oriel, and then the other team picked like Uther Tass, and then they picked like Rhaegar plus carry, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well.
That's actually horrible.
Yeah. The thing is, like, double support is super strong, but I mean, you can probably elaborate a little bit more on this, Knappe, is that not many teams actually really like playing it.
Yeah, because that's
against it.
Yeah, because that's something we talked to some pros here and there, and got BKB on the show last week, and he's very tight with Mene and stuff like that. And yeah, it doesn't seem like many people are actually enjoying the double support meta.
I can't really talk for other people, but me personally, I don't like it.
Yeah.
For me personally, it feels like I don't have as much impact when I have another guy doing the same job as me, and it's such a different play style, and it feels kind of hard to play around it. I would say it's very easy to like learn how to play it, but I don't think it is as good as all the other stuff you can do, and I think Fnatic is showing that very good, and I think Fnatic is one of the teams that's like, they are the best team, and they're not drafting a lot of double support because they simply don't like it. And I think most other teams don't like it either, but I think they kind of have to play it because it is, it's strong. So they feel like they have to play it to win. And I think we were in that situation as well, where we had to play it, and then we figured out we just need to find us. Like after we got beaten by Fnatic, we were like, okay, we need to find a solution on how to beat this instead of drafting it, because we were not. Like, it wasn't fun playing.
Yeah, that really worked out for you guys. So personally, I play ranged assassin, and I love playing with double support because I can just do whatever I want and just stay alive. But it is terrible to play against it. That's like I can do big plays. I can like get shit done like hero damage wise, but like have a shield, have a heal, have another heal, and it's all for nothing, kind of.
Yeah. It's annoying. It's annoying to play against for sure.
Yeah.
You need to have this if you team fight them, you need to have this explosive moment, or you need to isolate someone, or because otherwise they just outsustain you. And
regarding that, there is something that I actually forgot to mention, because maybe not because it's not on the PTR, but you talked about isolation, and one of the strongest tools for that have been lately the cocoon on Anubarak. And I've seen some jokes about being a support main is now being inside a cocoon main. But there are coming some changes to cocoon. The range is going down from 9 to 6. Do you think that's going to help at all?
I think the biggest change to it is the projectile speed. And if you will be able to react to it, I think, like I will be able to cleanse someone doing it, or it will be easier for people to dodge it and play around it, and I think that's going to help a lot.
Yeah, I think if you can spot who it's going to go on, which most of the time you pretty much know it's going to go on, either on yourself or the carry, I think most of the times. So if you can cleanse out the carry, I mean, I like the change because it makes it a little bit more of a skill matchup instead of you're now cocooned, have fun kind of thing. But I think this does force the cocoon a little bit more so towards the hero that has the cleanse. So if you're playing double support yourself and you have Rhaegar Tessadar or something like that, or Rhaegar Ariel, then the cocoon will be forced onto the Rhaegar because the Rhaegar will be the one to be able to cleanse it out. So it's going to change a little bit who you're going to cocoon, but I think in most cases, I think that they should have changed the cooldown as well. Personally, I think the cooldown should be higher because it's such a high play make ability, and it's on a 60-second cooldown versus some of the other high play make abilities, which are on like 100 seconds or 120 seconds. Like cocoon can basically on its own win a team fight, and it should not be on a 1-minute cooldown. Like the changes are good, but I don't think they go far enough yet.
I know Splendor wrote something that he would like to see changed with the... Because right now, if you manage to, as Li Ming, for example, blink the cocoon, it will go on a 10-second cooldown.
Yeah. You make give it a full cooldown instead of just interrupted cooldown.
Yeah. It does the same with cleansing out, I believe.
Yeah, it does.
You basically exchange the 60-second cooldown for cleanse or Uther, which is 120.
Yeah, that's actually bullshit. Like, to be honest, like Blizzard, I know you're watching the Slothcast, obviously, and like just fix that because it takes much more skill to cleanse out the cocoon than to just throw it out, and get it on a 10-second is actually actually pretty lame.
Right, it has too little counterplay as of right now, and I think the changes is a good way.
Unless the cleanse out still has the 10-second thing. I think in that case, then the projectile speed decrease makes no difference.
Yeah.
Anub will still be first pick, first ban material.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
By all means. Well, we're gonna, like as usual, we spend way too much time talking about everything that we talk about. We're gonna skip over to more support talk, but let's try to divide them up a little bit. I know some people doesn't like to make tier lists, but let's try. Like we've mentioned Oriole as the most flexible kind of support, but Uther is also one of the most contested, and also like he sees play like every game. He's either banned or he's picked. Are both of them tier 1?
I don't know. I think Oriole might be. It depends a lot on what you want to do with it. If you want to go into the double support, I definitely think Oriel is tier 1. But if you're not going into the double support, she's in tier 1. Then I think Uther is tier 1. So I think it's very hard to make a tier list when it comes to this. I also think Rhaegar is up together with all of them.
Bakery had he did a little bit of an interview with Dignitas, and he had a very good way of saying what the difference is between Uther and Oriel, and that Uther is the most perfect support because he has everything. He has protection, he has playmaking capabilities, he has good healing, he has a cleanse when it's necessary, he has Guardian of Ancient Kings when it's necessary, and he has tanky himself as well, so he can just stand up to a bunch of damage in that sense too. And Oriel's just the most flexible because it works with everything. The other heroes don't have the flexibility or don't have everything that Uther has, which is kind of why Uther is so strong now. Rhaegar is almost there, but Rhaegar doesn't have the self sustain that Uther has, and the protection. Yeah. Because Divine, that's basically the difference between Divine Shield and Ancestral. Ancestral is amazing, but you can stop it by just killing the hero.
And Rhaegar doesn't have any CC. That's one of his problems.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Rhaegar. I think.
Yeah.
If I would want to go into kind of utility comp with Illidan and so on, I would probably rate Rhaegar over Uther as of right now. But
yeah, because I was about to ask how Rhaegar works as a solo support, but you draft that, so I guess you like it.
Yeah, we like Rhaegar a lot. I think we should probably prioritize Uther a bit higher than we are. But I mean, I like Rhaegar.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah. I've never been a big fan of Uther, so.
Another support that has gotten some changes recently, and we did see in no one expected in the final in the HGC, the Midsummer Brawl from Fnatic, is Brightwing. How do you think Brightwing stacks up in this meta?
I played Brightwing a lot in this season in Hero League. I'm 15-4 with her, so the Pixie thing is really good now, especially when they draft a lot of magic damage. And when you hit 13, you get kind of Guardian of Ancient Kings Brightwing version, because you get 50 physical armor and 30 spell armor. So it's a little bit of a downgrade of it, but the old version, which was 75, but it's kind of the same now when they nerfed Uther. So, but you don't get ice block then, so you're still vulnerable if you go that route. But I still think it's, I would say it's under those supports who's meta right now, but she's not that far behind, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. I think in certain games, I think she can be really good in double support as well.
Yeah, Bakery also in that same interview had a good way to where Brightwing was in his. He called it a bit too situational tier.
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much describes how Brightwing is. She can be very good in the right circumstances, but Brightwing, even with the change, still struggles with a lot of the same things that she struggles before. It's just a lot of high burst damage. Brightwing just can't heal that out, and she doesn't have the single target heal to be able to deal with that.
Yeah, I heard some rumors from one of the regular Slothcast members, Frog, and resident theory crafters, that Uther Brightwing is actually a pretty cancer comp.
I haven't tested it out myself, but on paper it looks pretty good. I don't know.
Work, yeah.
It kind of brings out the old Guardian of Ancient Kings if you stack the armor with the Pixie, but you only get the spell armor to 75 then, but you get the physical to 50, but it's still strong, obviously. And you get the global, so
yeah.
And at 13 you can get the high.
Yeah, and then we got Stukov that's gonna enter the Nexus in a little while. Gnappa mentioned earlier he can see him being really strong in a double support meta, but he can. I think it's in the highlights, the video that this released, that they say he's a strong solo support.
What, that he's a strong solo support?
Yeah, I think they say it in the video.
Yeah, I think. I mean, take Rhaegar or Oriel, Uther, for example. All of them are still strong, like solo supports, and I think Stukov is gonna be a really strong solo support. But I think he has so much control that he offers to the double support as well with the silence and with his arm and all the slows and the AoE healing. Like I think he's almost got everything, and I think like just the amount of control he offers to a double support looks, in a theory at least, it looks really sick.
So I guess you're gonna spam a lot of Stukov the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, probably. I think so.
I'm gonna spam him a lot, probably.
I think
Like-
it will be hard to get in like Hero League and stuff.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those that are banned out a lot. Lastly, we have Lucio, Lily, Tyrande.
What's left?
Yeah,
Malfurion and Karazhan.
And
yeah, of course. Yeah. I was just like thinking about the ones that doesn't see any play at all. I guess we're not going to do
Morales,
that anytime.
kind of.
I think Karazhan, for example, is a really good substitute for Rhaegar.
Yeah.
He has more AoE healing, but also less healing numbers. And like the Palm works kinda as the Ancestral, but I mean harder to land and heals less. So I think he's a really good substitute for Rhaegar, but he also lacks the wave clear.
He works really well in Deathball comms because he gets so much healing value. Because Rhaegar chain, he will only change to 2 people, and Karazhan can basically heal the entire team at the same time.
Yeah.
But like
Malfurion on the other hand, he got hit with some nerfs, which was kind of justifiable after he's been like the top tier support for a lot of time. But he still sees play, but I guess not as sole support anymore.
Yeah, I think he's fine in certain situations, but I don't think he's strong.
Yeah,
He lacks a lot.
I guess that's fine. He needs to chill out for a little bit. And yeah, as we mentioned, Morales, she works on Braxis sold out in some comps, but that's mostly it.
She's
Or
pretty
with
good
that
on
cast,
Dragonshire as well.
works
yeah.
with the gas, yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
So she still gets focused, I guess.
Like there's one more thing that I like when we're talking about sports, of course, is something we can't really ignore, in my opinion, is the fact that Blizzard is kind of working on removing clans / reworking it with a lot of heroes into different talents. Like Karazhan has his 16 clans, which is obviously very strong, but it puts himself in a little bit of a danger when he's trying to cleanse people. Uther has Hand of Protection, which is basically a cleanse but just works a little higher cooldown, but you can get cooldown reduction or something. A little bit weird. And then like Malf gets it removed, Tyrande doesn't have it, a few other heroes have gotten it removed in the past but given back. Things like that. Like what is really the like why? I don't understand it, honestly.
Yeah, how do you feel about that, Knappe? Like, is it necessary to remove it, or is it like, or do they just take another playmaking tool away from you?
When I play Malfurion, for example, I miss the cleanse a lot, but I kind of like the changes they did to Uther, like giving him his own cleanse.
Yeah.
And then same with Karazhan, but I think maybe level 16 is a bit late. But like I like the idea of it, but it's right now it feels a bit lacking. Like Rhaegar has the cleanse, Morales has the cleanse. Who is left?
Lily has one.
Brightwing and Lily, yeah.
That thing's still there.
So
Yeah. The problem with the Karazhan is that on level 16 you want Way of the 100 Fist for that extra DPS.
For that smork.
Yeah, gotta go face. Face is the place. Yeah, we have to move on now. We've spent thousands of minutes talking about this, and we could probably spend 1,000 more. But now that we have a decent overview over what's going on with the support meta at the moment, which will hopefully help with getting some wins. But sometimes it's also helpful to watch clips from higher level games. So before we round off this episode, we'll have a look at a Grandmaster boss call performed by our very own Galdegunnar. Enjoy.
Oh god.
Oh, is there under the bus? Okay. Oh fuck, am I dead?
back. Ruther runs back. No! I'm done! Fuck, boss!
Bus.
Everything must come to an end, like terrible Hero League games, but unfortunately, also this episode. I hope all of you out there have picked up some knowledge to use in your upcoming games, no matter if you want to play double support yourself or be like Nappa and Tricked and counter it. They have shown it's obviously possible. But for now, we'll leave you to it. So, Galnagunnar, any shoutouts this week?
Just shout out to you guys as always. Shout out to Heroes Launch community. Shout out to my team, Coach Grult, and just plug in my stream at Galnagunnar93. And that's it. Thank you guys for having me yet again on this awesome podcast.
Thank you for being on. Hidde, I guess elementary school are on vacation mode, so lots of free time for you. You got any exciting plans this summer?
Nope. Just playing video games, watching ACC, and I'm not in elementary school. You fuck.
Yeah, sure not. You got any shoutouts this week?
Shout out to Galnagunnar for stealing my shoutouts. And shout out to Gnappa for being here, of course.
Indeed.
And yeah.
Gnappe, thanks so much for coming on the show this week.
Thanks for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure to have you on. You got any shoutouts for yourself?
I mean, shout out to you guys for doing this podcast, and shout out to the whole Heroes community supporting me and Tricked, and a big shout out to Tricked and my teammates.
Indeed. Good luck to you guys going forward. I see you got a stream going on there, which is on live at some of the time.
Yeah, I mean, you can find me at Twitch at twitch.tv/Knappe, but I stream when I get some time over, and
yeah, so keep a lookout for that. As for myself, I can be found at @the_Narsha on Twitter as usual. And a quick reminder that this very show has a Twitter too, namely @Slothcast. Feel free to sub to us on YouTube, iTunes, and all the other podcast directories. And please feel free to drop us a like, comment, and give every type of feedback, as we welcome it all. Thanks to our loyal watchers, our loyal listeners, and production crew. See you all in a week. And until then, good luck and have feeds.